Hello Cancer, I am Poetic Heretic, and this is your October 2017 Tarot Forecast. Do remember, you can use these videos for your Sun, Rising, and Moon signs. So this month I am doing a spread with one card per week, and then the fourth card is also for the rest of the month, and then a fifth card that sums up the whole month. So that's what we are doing. Let's see what we get. What does the universe have in store for the sign of Cancer for October 2017? And there we are. The first week, the Eight of Cups. The second week, the Empress. The third week, the Seven of Swords reversed. The fourth week, the Seven of Cups reversed. You guys just got double sevens. And the final card summing up the whole month, the Six of Pentacles. Alright. So let's see here. Well, overall, what am I seeing here overall? I'm seeing things getting like back to normal, a sort of return to sanity later in the month. Some possible new experiences, and then with the Six of Pentacles down here tying it together, well, this card talks about the payoff and rewards largely, so an interesting mix in this spread. So let's just go through it week by week and explore it more thoroughly that way. So for the first week, we have the Eight of Cups. So this is a card of sort of figuring out what is right for you and going after it, going your own way, recognizing what is right for you both emotionally and creatively. Now, the artwork of the card implies a sense of sadness, like you're having to move on from things, maybe more worldly accomplishments or something like that, and you're moving towards something more spiritual. I don't think that's always the case with the Eight of Cups, at least not the way I read it. Sometimes it's a sort of sadness, a sort of sad moving forward, but other times it's simply a more like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm doing, and I'm doing it. A sort of almost emotionless moving forward or something like that, like it not a sort of sad situation. But yes, it can in a lot of situations talk about sort of moving on from like worldly affairs or like material situations and trying to seek like a higher spiritual truth or something like that. It is an 8, so that's indicative of transformation and stuff like that, you know, death and rebirth. So you could be seeing that sort of energy in the first week, moving on, moving forward, moving towards something with greater meaning. For week 2, you have the Empress. The Empress is vast majority of the time a very positive card, because she's talking about everything from like abundance financially to beauty and love and stuff like that. She's talking about receptivity, nature, feminine energy, um, and even in some cases the idea of like being pregnant or giving birth and stuff like that. She is the idea of fruitfulness after length of days, sort of reaping the rewards of a harvest. And it's interesting that here in the northern hemisphere we are in the season of fall right now. So the second week is looking very sweet and beautiful and loving and stuff like that. Um, let's see, what else can be said here? Well, it's almost like you're maybe coming out of a difficult period of time, or like something that wasn't working, and now you're getting into something much sweeter and more beautiful and more enjoyable and stuff like that. Um, and with the Six of Pentacles down here, that's indicating like um, the financial aspect. So indicating a lot of good fortune when it comes to money. Like this could be a month where you're sort of getting what you deserve. And well, of course, that ties right in again with what I said a little bit ago about the idea of fruitfulness after length of days, you know, getting the payoff and rewards that this card more in particular talks about. So you're sort of getting what you've been working for, what you've been waiting for this month, as long as you have been working for it, and especially in that second week. So for the third week, you have the Seven of Swords reversed. Well, when this card is reversed, it's often a sign of things getting back to normal. This isn't a reversal that's like negative, or at least it's not always negative. Usually the way that I interpret it is rather than being out of the flow or like challenging people or whatever now, things are back to normal, particularly in the realm of relationships, with this being a 7. So that's what that clues in, 7, Libra, and the idea of relationships and seeking balance. And of course, again, you guys got 2 7s. So this is like the energy of, rather than fighting and going against the flow, now you're more back in the flow and stuff like that. And that, of course, goes right along with the Empress. This like sort of feminine, receptive energy of going with the flow. So it looks like we're seeing a lot of that for you guys this month. Furthermore, the Empress, even though this card is ruled by Aries, who is associated with Mars, this card is particularly associated with Venus. And so is the sign of Libra, which is indicated by the 7s here. Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus and the Empress are almost the exact same energy. You know, Venus is sweet and loving and feminine and receptive and beautiful and sensual and all about tastes and inclinations and likes and dislikes and stuff like that. So we're seeing a lot of that energy, particularly in the second and third weeks, and perhaps into the fourth week and rest of the month, which I'll just get right into right now, with the 7 of Cups reversed. However, when the 7 of Cups is reversed, this is more like a return of sanity. So if you weren't seeing completely clearly about something, like your vision had been clouded about something or whatever, this would be the time where you sort of come to your senses and can see clearly again. Like when this card is upright, it often talks about illusions and confusion and delusion and stuff like that, not seeing clearly, its reversal is often an indicator of seeing more clearly. And of course, that's going to, as usual, depend on the context. Sometimes, even when reversed, this card can actually mean illusion as well, like more illusion. But I'm not seeing like other indicators of that here. So chances are, like what's most likely, I think, is that the fourth week and rest of the month will be a time of seeing more clearly, a return to sanity. And it could also be like, rather than being caught up in the subjective realms too much, because sometimes the Eight of Cups even can talk about sort of like unrealistic expectations, being a little too caught up in the subjective realms. This could be like a return to objectivity. So again, more of the seeing clearly, like a sort of balancing of that out. And again, with it being a 7 Libra balance, it's the idea of striking that kind of harmony. And so, let me see if there's anything else I can say about this before we move forward. Well, it could also be that if you've been struggling to decide something recently or at some point this month, that this final week and for the rest of the month, like somewhere in there, is going to be when you find that you're able to make that decision. Because again, when this card is upright, it's the idea also of having like so many choices and not knowing which to decide or which to choose, and usually being confused in the process. When it's reversed, it can often indicate an ending to that, being able to like decide again. So that's another significant possibility. Now, I want to just emphasize more here, though, before we move forward to the Six of Pentacles, that, again, you guys got 2 sevens. Sevens talk about relationships, and so that is likely to be very significant for you this month. And indeed, I mean all kinds of relationships, not just like romantic relationships or whatever, but all kinds of relationships, friends, work, whatever. And also the Empress being associated with the planet Venus, which is associated with Libra. So you have 1, 2, 3 out of the 5 cards pulled for you guys this month, all associated in some way with the planet Venus. Again, the feminine, receptive planet, the sweet and loving, beautiful and sensual planet, but with an emphasis, an added emphasis here on the relationships angle of that. So what I'm saying is expect that to play a big factor in your month, a big role in this month of October for you guys. And even with the Empress being a 3, 3s talk about communication. Communication, relationships, they essentially go hand in hand. But yes, with the 2 sevens reversed and 2 sevens back to back reversed, it is, again, highly unlikely to be a negative thing, especially with the other cards we have here. It's more likely saying that things are achieving more harmony, like things are not getting more crazy, they're getting less crazy, they're getting more back into the flow. So don't be afraid of those reversals. Sometimes a reverse card is far more good news than bad news. It just depends on the card and like what other cards are around. So for the card that sums up the whole month, it's the Six of Pentacles. Now again, this emphasizes the financial aspect of things again. And so we see, like with the Empress, talking about that as well. Um, this is a card of payoff and rewards for work well done. So you're getting the payoff. It's also a card, as you can see by the artwork of it, of giving and sharing with others. And even though it's a 6, which is referring to Virgoan energy, and 7s refer to Libra, well, in the card we have the scales, which are associated with Libra. So again, we have that energy. So in a way, you could say that 4 of the 5 cards here are about seeking balance in some way. So that's very significant for you guys. That's what you can sort of expect this month. But, you know, again, in the 6 of Pentacles, it's the idea of generosity, like helping others, giving to others, stuff like that. And so let's see here. In this context, could kind of go either way, I suppose. It could be that you're giving to others, and or others are giving to you, helping you out in some way. Or you're giving some and they're giving some, you know, you're like helping each other out. But regardless, you know, the 6 of Pentacles is almost always a very positive card. And it's a card of integrity as well. And with its Virgoan energy, it can point to your day-to-day activities. And, well, many things could be said about that, but I would say here, like, a sense of integrity and balance, again, with these cards, in your day-to-day life. So, you're starting off this month with this idea of, like, moving to a new phase of life or something, going through some kind of sort of emotional and or creative transformation. And then you're entering this very like sweet and loving period of time, and it's like after that first week, your day-to-day activities are brought very much into harmony. And by the end of the month, you're seeing very clearly and ready to move on to whatever the next stage is. And again, if you've been struggling with like making a decision, well, chances are this is a time when you will be able to make some kind of decision as well. It's a time of seeing clearly. And even, well, with Virgo, the Virgoan energy of the 6 of Pentacles here, Virgo is the laser focus. Virgos tend to see things very clearly, but they see the details of things exceptionally well. So you could be experiencing that also. Like the 3s referring to communication and associated a lot with the planet Mercury being associated with Gemini, while Virgo here is also ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication and intellect, but with Virgo it's like a laser focus. So a certain level of clarity, anywhere from like a moderate level of clarity to a laser focus level of clarity, is probably what you can expect this month, particularly in that final week. So that's about it, Cancer. Looks like you guys are going to have a great month overall. Not really seeing too great of concerns here as far as anything negative or challenging goes. I mean, the first week might have a little bit of, I don't know, something you have to do, like something you have to get away from and sort of move on from. But after that, it's pretty much smooth sailing, it looks like. So, I hope you have a great month indeed. This has been a tarot forecast for the sign of Cancer for the month of October 2017 from Poetic Heretic. Don't forget to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And thanks for watching.